Okay. I'd like to call this meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals to order. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to the January 9th, 2023 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals, or ZBA. First, we will begin with roll call. Present, we have Chairman Carla Hinger, Vice Chairman Alan Donnelly, Member Lisa Temple, Member Nahid Kaisar, Alternate Larry Rushmeyer, Alternate Elijah Holing, along with our Zoning Enforcement Officer, Fran Lally. Absent, we have Secretary Janet LaForgia, and alternate Richard Briggs. The current agenda can be found under board meetings on the town website. We will begin with the public hearing. I will call each applicant one at a time. When I call your property address, please come forward, state your name, and tell us about your appeal in detail. After, we will read into the record any communications we've received in favor or opposed to the application. The board members will then have the opportunity to question the applicant. Following this, we will hear from the members of the public who wish to speak in favor of the application, followed by those opposed. Finally, the applicant shall be allowed to make any concluding remarks. As you recognized, please state your name and address before you speak so your comments may be legally recorded. Please be assured that everyone will have the opportunity to speak. However, the board is most interested in hearing factual information relative to the application, and in view of the time constraints placed upon us, we ask your indulgence in not reiterating comments previously presented. After your hearing, you're welcome to stay or contact the land use office in the morning. After we have gone through all the hearings tonight, we will begin deliberations. Deliberations are open to the public, however, no further information from the public in regards to the applications will be entertained once the deliberations begin. You must have at least 4 affirmative votes to have your appeal granted. The final decision may be in the form of approved as submitted, approved with stipulations, or disapproved. As we have Janet LaForgia absent, we will be seating an alternate. I believe that you both sat as alternates at the same time, so I guess Larry, if you'd like to be seated for tonight. Okay, our first order of business, we have the review of the November minutes.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Any discussion on the minutes?
Only one thing. Don did a wonderful job. On the third page, Mr. Chairman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th paragraph down. Right where it says, Mr. Donnelly, he stated his motion for clarification and verbiage. Mr. Donnelly made a motion to send the bylaws over to be amended by the secretary. As we spoke about this evening, and the email can go back to all the members, all 5 members. I just wanted to add the word if, and literally, that's the only thing, right after members. And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Which paragraph is?
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th one down, and 1, 2, 3, 3rd line down. Go back to all the members, if all the members say, hey, that's good to go. That was literally it. I know it's nitpicky, but the rest was perfect, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
That's it.
So, motion to amend the minutes? Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, motion carries 4-0 because you weren't here for the November? Okay. On to our first application for this evening, 20A Indian Trail, Z-22-64.
That would be me. Yes. Matthew Wilkoff. And the address 20A Indian Trail, Brookfield. We're looking for a variance for the construction of our steps from property down steep slope to Candlewood Road to allow access to our waterfront area across the street from from Candlewood Lake Road. The requested variance is on the front lot line, 29.2 feet, and on the left side, 12.9 feet. We have a very small piece of property that we've constructed on. The slope from the main property down to Candlewood Lake Road is extremely steep, and a lot of it is just loose fill from, I guess, plant debris over the years. Steps were put in to the side, which allowed for the steps, number one, to be as low to the ground as possible, while still being able to, I don't know if we're using the right terminology, but anchor it properly to keep them from moving. We also construct the steps in a way where, coming down the steps, I noticed a lot of the neighbors have straight line steps coming down the property, runs right up against the edge of the road. I thought that was very dangerous, so we actually turn to head parallel to Candlewood Lake Road. So when you come down the steps, you're not stepping right out into a busy, potentially busy street, and looking for a variance to allow for the steps as constructed.
Okay. We do have some correspondence to read in. So in opposition to the application, we have Lisa and Peter Horton of 44 Indian Trail. We have Joseph Riley of 20 Indian Trail in opposition. We have Victoria Guggenheim and Louis Gannon of 23 Indian Trail in opposition. We have Gwen Arment and Steve Belita of 62 Indian Trail in opposition. We have Weidong Huang and Ziying Li of 22 Indian Trail in opposition. And we have Ralph Tedesco, the Director of Public Works, in opposition. If you wanted to read that.
You may read that in the record, Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman, I received an email on 1/6/23 at 10:38 a.m. It was from Rochelle Hodds. I guess she received an email from Ralph Tedesco of Public Works. I'll just read it as it is. Ralph Tedesco, PE, Director of Public Works. Number one, the proposed steps are in the town right-of-way. The town should be concerned about a potential accident and liability due to a vehicular accident. Number two, if this project is approved, I recommend that there be a hold harmless agreement in place that states the following as a minimum, along with whatever zoning deems appropriate. The town cannot be held liable for damages caused by snow plowing and any other town activity if for any reason the steps have to be removed to accommodate a town project, the town does not forfeit its right to use the right-of-way and the steps will be removed. 3, before the steps are installed, plans should be developed to show sight lines will not be limited. 4, if zoning feels it's appropriate, town attorney should be consulted to address issues associated with the above. Michelle Hodds, Director, Land Use Department, Town of Brookfield, 100 Oakland Road, Brookfield, Connecticut.
Okay. So, do we have questions for the applicant?
Are these steps already installed?
They are. When we were before wetlands for their approval, there were comments made that we needed, and I believe it was by them,
It
correct?
was by wetlands or zoning that we needed a way down to the water and that there would be steps put in to get there, and as long as Mr. Wilcox maintained them, that there wouldn't be an issue.
Do you know which one that was? I'm sorry.
That was on the original
Was it zoning or-
approvals.
I think it was the original approvals with wetlands that
Wetlands.
was in discussion. And then there was also, we had approached the highway department, knowing that part of the property, across the entire, or a lot of Candlewood Lake Road is partially town property. And the comment that we got back was steps would be fine, similar to what others or neighbors may have, as long as we didn't build a structure such as, let's say cabana or something of that nature. But steps would have been fine. So we thought that with all that, it was appropriate to proceed. And then we learned that, we should be coming before this board. So here, and we've made that, taken on that application process to come here.
Do you have an outside contractor doing the work?
Yes, yes.
And what was his recommendation about the process?
I believe it was all in line with, that it was okay to proceed, based upon
And he's a licensed...
what we had heard.
He's a licensed contractor,
Yeah.
and he didn't talk about permitting process or setbacks.
No. Do you have a question with regard to the letter that you read?
From Mr. Tedesco?
From Mr. Tedesco.
Yes, sir.
I
I have a
mean,
copy. I got a copy of it.
in general, I have no issue with anything that he's asking for. But I would
Here's a
hope.
copy, so you have it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I would just hope that, that I'm being treated equally to my neighbors, who all have our steps don't come as close to the road as many of my neighbors' steps do. And I understand the concern with snowplow or any other, vehicle. But I would just hope that we're being, treated fairly and equally to each of my neighbors. And what's being required of them or required of me is equal to everybody else.
I have questions, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Are you done?
Yep.
Okay. I just have a couple questions.
Sure.
Thank you very much for allowing me to go out and look at your property.
Oh,
I
my
appreciate it.
pleasure, sure.
I drew a little map. I'm gonna have you double check it in a second to make sure it's right. First question was already answered. Commissioner Temple asked you that, and that's the stairs are already built. Larry asked you the second question I had was, were any permits at all pulled for the stairs? And, did the contractor say, hey, you need to pull permits for these and stuff? So that question was already asked. Can I come forward and just verify, when I was out at your house, I just want to make sure this is accurate, and it looks right, but, okay, so I got the front door, front yard, but just going down to the stairs, the biggest thing I wanted to point out was the measurements. One of the last things I did is I kind of did a center line measurement over to the edge of where your stairs were, and
From the center of the street.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, the center line.
Right.
The center line of the street, just to
Correct, right.
kind of figure out the right of way. I measured 21 feet and I used it right to the edge. Does that sound familiar?
That's about right.
I don't know if I said it out loud or not, but that's what I did.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Those are the large boulders there, concrete retaining wall. That's pretty much it on that. Now, next question is, are you aware that there's a 30-foot right-of-way there
No.
from the town? It's 30 feet. I double-checked with the land use office, with Mr. Tedesco, and he double-checked it on the town map and everything. It's basically from the corner of the Candlewood Lake Club all the way around there, it's 30 feet, so
It's
technically.
30 feet from center?
Center line.
Okay.
So technically, at least how I measured it, it's 9 feet over already as it sits. I just wanted to make you aware of that. That was one thing that I saw. Next question I had was, and we can talk about this later on, but I don't see 3.4.A.3.B on this permit application, which is structure in the front yard, which kind of made sense to me. It should be on there because there's 2 front yards. They have Indian Trail and Candlewood Lake Road there. So I don't see that on this application at all. I just wanted to point that out. I thought that might be needed.
What was that?
So there's, I'll read it exactly to you. There is a part of the code or the regulation. It's 3.4.A.3.B. It's long. but I'll read it to you right now. 3(4)A, 3(B). Accessory structures shall comply with the minimum rear and side yard setback specified in section 3.5 and shall not be located in the front yard. I didn't see that. We've had other applications come in front of us, a lot of them with stuff in the front yard, and it's always that particular regulations. And I did not see that on yours. I just wanted to point it out for the record. I think it should be on there, but I do not see that on there.
Is that, that's considered my front yard? Or
Yeah, anything that has two roads to it, so you have Indian Trail, and then on the backside you got Cannibal Lake Road, so they consider it a front yard because it has road frontage. That's just how it is. It has two front yards. Next question, and I can get you a copy of these as well. So, I checked with the town, and I know you brought this up about the neighbors and things like that. Some of them having paths or steps or everything there. And I'll give you a copy of this as well, as soon as I pull it out. But I pulled, Amy and land use, looked up 2, 4, 16, 18, 20, 22, 38, 46, 52, and 62 Indian Trail. Anything that could possibly have steps on town property, and every single one of them came up with no variance on file. That goes to kind of what you were saying. So I did a little research on that, and there's, I'm gonna call it the 3-year rule, but if something goes 3 years without violations, it becomes a legal non-conforming. So that's probably why, am I correct on that?
Yes,
Sam?
you are.
Okay, so that, but I did look, and this is, you were pointing out, you gotta be fair and everything to all the neighbors that are there. So I did research that, and I also researched 539, 557, 559, 563, 565, and 567 Cannibal Lake Road. None of them really had any paperwork. 2 of them had no stairs on the map, and then there were 2, 565 and 567, that had stairs on the map on one of them. So it's on the map, but it doesn't encroach on the town property, and it must be passed, I didn't research that, the 3-year regulation. And 567 Cannibal Lake Road has a slate walk with railroad ties on town property per map. That must, again, go to that legal non-conforming thing. So I did do the due diligence to check, you know, with the neighbors and stuff, because I drove the whole neighborhood and looked at it really thoroughly. I can get you a copy of these as well, sir, if you'd like them. You kind of explained it in the beginning, but could you please explain the hardship one more time for me?
Well, without stairs, we would have no way to access our property across Candlewood Lake Road. Direct access from the top side of Candlewood Lake Road to the water side without stairs. It's a slope where, I'm saying, maybe 70 or so % slope.
I looked at it, she's pretty steep.
You know, and in some spots, maybe even steeper. So it's not a slope that one can, you know, walk down, safely walk down.
Okay. But there's other ways to access it, right? You got a golf cart, you can take the golf cart down there, you can drive down, because you got the little parking lot for your property on the other side. But I see what you're saying, sir. Okay.
Direct,
Go ahead, then.
in the back, behind the house,
Yes.
so that would be the west side of the property, the closest to
Facing west,
Candlewood
yes.
Lake, right?
Mhm.
Is there anything septic or utilities buried in the backyard?
Septic,
Is it directly behind the house?
Yes.
Or across the street?
behind the house.
So the septic fields are directly behind the house?
Yes.
Because it doesn't show that on the,
Yeah, I don't see that either. I wrote that down. I'm sorry about that.
because you could terrace your way down 47 feet.
But there's septic. Septic field is across the whole back section.
It's about 40 steps going down and 3 landings, starting from the top. That's what I counted, walking
Haven't
up.
counted the steps, but
About right. Okay. And there's nothing, let's say there was an approval or something, and I know you got the left side setback and there's the problem with the front yard thing. But what's the reasoning why it's so tight to the left side, I'm gonna call it the north side of the property, versus just coming over and being in compliance?
That's what that was a good question, I was thinking.
That-
I
what was the reason behind that, sir?
think closer to the middle Number one, it was a much steeper drop, and most of the ground is just very loose. There's nothing to anchor any concrete into to hold the steps.
Okay. Next, they use sonotube construction for the
Yes,
island,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Saw that.
Before we bought the property, that whole area was just overgrown and tremendous amount of just leaves and dry debris and rotting trees.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you very much. I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Actually, just wanted to confirm something you mentioned earlier, Alan. You were saying that there's what was it,
30-foot town right-of-way,
Yeah, so the stairs are already
9 feet into the
into the
right-of-way.
right of way, so even.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So, on the map here, and you can look at this at the same time, I'm just gonna show them what I just showed you before,
Mhm.
but from the center line of the road, I took my tape measure and went over to the very edge of the stairs, and it's exactly 21 feet. I double checked with Ralph Tedesco of Public Works and the town right away, really from the start of, right where the entrance is to the Canada Lake Club, going all the way around, it's 30-foot right away.
Right,
So it's 9 feet over now,
so-
as it sits.
Right, so I guess my question, I'm not sure, you would know the answer personally, but assuming we approve the variance, would we even be able to permit them to have the stairs in that right of way?
Well,
That's a good-
wasn't that addressed in the letter from Ralph Tedesco?
Well, he said-
Because again, in
Right. What about all of the driveways in the town right away on that same road and everybody else's steps and ramps?
It's the same rule.
You've got
If the
two.
town needs to use that property, they
They're gonna
can cut
use it.
that driveway back.
So what would be the difference between Mr. Wilkoff's steps and the neighbor's driveway, which is in the town right of way with columns, there's stone columns on it? If it's 30 feet,
I would say that it's probably the 3 years with no violations and
But
it
there's
becomes a legal
two
non-conforming.
brand new
But
constructions to the right, 2 doors down.
I'm not an expert on
With
that.
existing driveways?
No, they're new.
oh, there were just north of me, there were 2 new constructions also.
And they put in new driveways?
They have
New
new driveways,
driveways,
columns at the bottom,
Columns,
yes.
belt and
I-
blocks,
stone
inlays.
columns.
So, in that specific question,
Are they
I'm
coming-
not familiar with those properties. I'm not familiar with their permitting process.
Mhm.
And that is a town highway department issue. I'm just saying that in a town right of way,
Mhm.
they have the right
Right.
to take your property.
Right, and, everything that was said here by Ralph, as I said, it's fine, I'm sure we can come up with a reasonable agreement between myself and the town, using this as a guideline, I have no issue with that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak in favor of this application? Are there any members of the public who would like to speak in opposition to this application? Just, starting.
You want me to do for this one?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
If you just state your name and address for the record.
Margaret Cronin, 21 Indian Trail. I have been a resident there for 29 years. I have a different problem with the property, the stairway. It's not the same as other people might be thinking of. Because I have been in the area for so long, 55 years, I've seen the comings and goings on that road, and I know what's involved. And I'm very concerned that this is a town road with different speeds on it, and there is really not a lot of traffic control. And over the years, we have lost wonderful human beings on that little mile stretch of road that goes by these stairs. Now, you couldn't have been aware of this, but we lost a 10-year-old child, an only child, of a family that came. He was a Secret Service guy at the White House, came up to visit his parents, and lost his 10-year-old boy there, right a few houses up from this stairway. Okay, the lady at number 68 Indian Trail, went out for her daily walk one morning. She got sideswiped by the mirror of a truck. She died a few months later, so it wasn't listed as the death from the accident itself, but it killed her. That's the point. Last September, we had a car on this stretch of road flip off the road and go down onto the private beach below, where people are usually sitting at 5 o'clock in the afternoon after work for a drink and burger or whatever. Thank God no one was hurt. And just south of us, Linda Warner went out for a jog. At 10 o'clock on a weekday morning, she had just retired, and she got hit by an SUV, killed on the spot. You know, these are the facts, and we got a big alert from the Connecticut Department of Transportation just 2 weeks ago to say that we have had a huge spike in pedestrian fatalities. It gave us all the reasons why it's happening, and Connecticut has to do something about that. They have to help the towns get a unit in for traffic control or something, because the stretch of Candlewood Lake Road that goes from the Candlewood Inn on up to the New Milford line is only about 1.5 miles, or a little over a mile perhaps. But it is treacherous because it is so unforgiving. You go to one side, the west side, you've got this lake with the steep slope. And you go to the other side, and we're okaying all this new construction. And we have more lots to go on the New Milford side of that line. So it's just a bad thing, and it's my civic response. I've never come before you before, but it's my civic responsibility to shout out for safety, public safety. This is tough, because this stairs that you have erected is gorgeous. My first reaction to it was, oh, we have to ask him who designed those stairs. We have to ask him who built them. They're so beautiful. They are a distraction. They truly took our minds right off of what we were doing, driving, because that stretch of road is very, very narrow. It's the narrowest part of the road. But there's no place to go. If your car is big and another big car is coming down and a kiddo comes off a beach, drops a ball, bam! And there's no correcting it. I don't know what to say other than your steps don't belong there. We don't want to speed more pedestrians onto that road until the state comes by to Brookfield and says, this is what we gotta do. We gotta have a unit that takes care of these speed things and gets these cars slowed down, or correct the road somehow. I don't know how they would do that, but it's just awful what is coming down there. We're very upset about it. And as an aside, and then I'll shut up, we had a big family party down in Maryland in Brookville. As soon as we said we were going to go to that party, we got a statement which said, if you're coming to Brookville, these are the traffic rules. Please obey them, because if you don't, you're going to go home and find a very unwelcome envelope in your mail. And it spelled it right out, because they have one of these units in town. And trust me, when we went to Brookville in November, we paid attention. So, you know, that's what's coming, because these problems are not just Connecticut, it's all over the country. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, we'll let everyone speak and we'll let you have the final words, sir.
But first, my name is Wei Dong Huang. I live at 22 Indian Trail, immediately to the north of 28 Indian Trail since 2013. And I have lived there for, I guess, almost 10 years now. And I've spent a lot of time there, especially during the last 2 years during the pandemic. And I do notice that a lot of morning joggers on the road, along Candlewood Lake Road, going on both directions. And there are also a lot of cyclists when very early morning on. And what I see is that because of the motor traffic, most of the joggers will go on the curb along the side. And what I call the very narrow area along both sides. And most of them actually stay on the west side, which is just the side that abutting my property and the 28 property. And what I see in these stairs is a barrier for those joggers. They have to go around and get closer to the road and get around it and move on. So that's the first alarm bell that sounds in my mind when I see the stairs. And I don't think this is a good idea. And I understand there's a argument that this is somebody else, all the other neighbors' golf car driveway also encroach on the town's right of way, and it's okay for us to do that too. But I don't agree with that argument because the stairs is a barrier for the joggers, for the pedestrians, but the driveways are not. So I don't think that argument really sounds right to me. And so that's the first point I want to make. And the second point I want to make is that I think that those stairs having a huge variance from the requirement of the 15-foot setback is totally unnecessary. And I heard the argument that the footing, concrete footing is not possible in the middle. And I sincerely disagree with that because I looked at it themselves, I saw the concrete footing. I could easily be set in the middle instead of very north side. And I think that variance is completely for the sake of maybe design aesthetic, for the convenience, whatever it is. I think because the stairs there, it's going to be a problem for my landscapers when they try to trim my bushes immediately next to the stairs. And because those bushes are tall, require machineries. So that's a huge safety concern for my landscapers. So I don't think that's a good idea. And lastly, I also heard the argument of the hardship, having no way to access the lake across the road or coming down from the roadside. And I actually see the immediate neighbor to the south, 20 Indian Trail. They have similar height of their front yard coming down to the road. And they did a beautiful terrace, zigzag road coming down and completely solve the problem without infringing the town's right of way. And I think I would recommend the same solution to 28 Indian Trail. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner, do you have a question? for-
Well, I guess this gentleman partially answered my question. I guess one objection had to do with the visual distractiveness of the stairs. You were saying if you're driving, that's a separate concern from the one you raised, which is a physical obstruction. So that I guess on both counts, there's the potential problem of visual distraction, and then the other is the barrier that it poses for joggers are the two concerns about it.
Okay, would you like to make any closing remarks?
I'd just like to make some comments based upon, I guess, some of the other community comments that were made. And I appreciate, Ms. Cronin, the accolades on the steps, and we tried to make them somewhat visually appealing. Are they a distraction? Maybe presently they are because they're currently in a barren piece of land, but there is a landscape plan, which I'm sure once spring comes, that's all going to be softened because we do have to plant on the slope to prevent the slope from sliding. And to maintain the slope. So I think the so-called attraction to the steps, maybe because it stands out in this 30-foot wide empty lot, it'll be softened once the landscaping is done. Speed's an issue everywhere. If people need to get out of the road, I know some of you had been to the property, you saw the property, I know some may have measured, others just took a good look. And you look around we made it a point not to bring the steps right down to the road. I hear from tonight the 30-foot, designation. I know we're encroaching on that. I know we did make a, concerted effort not to bring the steps down as so many of my neighbors, and I know we can't do anything about the neighbors now because of the 3-year rule, but they're all right down to the edge of the road. We purposely brought it back, turned the steps to run parallel to Candlewood Lake Road, just for that reason, to prevent, a child or an adult from stepping off the steps, running down the steps, right into the street. It is something that, we were cognizantly aware of. My neighbor, yes, he does have a winding golf cart path to come down. His property is almost double the width of my property. My property is a very narrow property in that community.
Neighbor to the north you're talking about, son?
The neighbor just to the south,
This one.
just to the south. He has an S golf cart path coming down his terrace slope. Even if we didn't have the septic in that area, it's too narrow to really create that. Like I said, it's probably about half the width of a lot of the properties that are along that road. You drive along the road, I'm sure many of you have driven up and down the road, maybe not really paid attention to it, but a lot of shrubs come right up to the edge of the asphalt. Yes, my steps are a physical hard barrier, but if anyone's looking to jump out of the way of a speeding car, I'm not so sure how many people are going to be able to dive into the bushes there too. I'm not saying that's, one's right, one's wrong. It's just the fact that, we try to be aware of the road and trying to take some safety into the construction of the steps when we were doing this. And using others as, possibly an example. My immediate neighbor, Waidong, I know he's talking about the steps also as a hard barrier versus his driveway, but he happens to have a trellis with 2 fixed posts that are, I'm 21 feet from the center line. I think he's 21 and a half feet to the trellis. Not a significant difference, and I think, if he's that concerned, I think it all has to be taken into account. The property that we bought was a vacant piece of land for, I can't even tell you how long. I think it was listed for sale for the last 15, 20 years, until we learned of it, came along, spoke to the town, learned that we can build on it, what we could build, etc. I know a lot of my neighbors were not happy that we came in and we built. We built on a piece of land that people used to be able to look across the street if they didn't have waterfront property. They were across the street, they could look across the street and enjoy the lake. Nobody in the community bought it to preserve it. I learned of it with my family. We were looking for something up here in the town, and and we learned that we could build what our vision was here. I understand we should have come before the board earlier, before we did the steps. I thought we were following, what was asked of us from previous conversations within the town, and I apologize, and what's been done was done, and we're here to correct it. And I'm hoping that, that you approve our request, because honestly, I just, having the piece of property across the road, it's nice to access, it's nice to enjoy, it all came as a part of it. It's what the vision was, not only with our purchase, but obviously the sale and what others have in this area. And we hope that, that you can see through and approve. And like I said, whatever Public Works is looking for, as they outlined here. I have no issue with that, I don't think anything is unreasonable there. And I'm confident that, you know, that I can work something out with Public Works.
How far from the asphalt are your steps?
Let's say, I'm taking a guess, 5-6 feet from the edge of the asphalt.
So,
Center line of the road is exactly 21.
right, but from the edge, the edge of the
I
road,
think
the
you're pretty
asphalt
close.
edge of the road, you're saying 5 or 6 feet?
Probably somewhere in the 5-6
I
foot.
think he's close.
That
I
would
think I
seem,
parked my car just after the steps, so I think so too. I think it sounds like 6 feet or so.
It's kind of gravelly and whatever, dug up gravelly right there right
saying
now.
Right.
it's a car width, roughly a car width distance.
No.
from the-
No.
Not yeah.
No, a little
I
short.
parked a little ahead, yeah.
So, I
Not
mean, a
unless
car
it's a
would
clown
be,
car.
say, arguably 6 feet wide.
If you parked a car next to that landing,
You'd be in
the
the
car
road.
would be in the road.
It would be in the road,
Yeah, you'd be
yes.
in the road.
Yes.
So it sounds like it's more like 2 or 3 feet.
It could be somewhere between 4 and 6 feet.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I did not measure that. I just went from the center line to the edge, just so I could get that.
Well, I'm just thinking about the issue about people, walkers and joggers, if they have enough room to get off the road.
I think there's enough room for joggers.
Would I be able to show a picture? I took one today before we came here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Be helpful?
I think there's room for joggers.
Like if
People
I'm
walking.
right here,
Right.
these are the stairs, and this is the edge of asphalt, to
Right,
the
I
edge
see.
of the stairs.
Right.
I actually took a video driving as I was just coming down Kendall Lake Road. I was approaching the stairs. So they're,
Right there, yes.
Yeah,
actually,
okay.
Mr. Wilcoff is comfortably
Anybody-
nodding. Does anybody else want to see? You're welcome to pass my phone.
Sorry. Yeah.
You don't have any bugs.
Here's some.
Right.
While they're looking at that, you mind if I ask you one follow-up question on something you said before? You mentioned that you had, I didn't know if you had it or not, but you
There's
said
no
landscaping plans. Do you have that? Or you don't have that
The road
yet?
is so, and this is where I kind of go.
Do have,
And this is the stair.
I have some tentative,
This is
I'll have it with me
Yeah,
at the
about 3
moment.
feet or 3.5 feet is what it looks like.
It's at least like 6 to 8 feet.
Right, right.
So anybody else want to say something?
And as I had mentioned, as you can see,
From the car, is that what you said?
shrubs are.
You're saying that?
There's, it's 6 to 8 feet from the edge of asphalt to the edge of the stairs.
I wonder if we can guesstimate.
And if you were
I should have
to-
measured that. but
I was
I didn't.
thinking this. I'm not-
Just the box.
Here's one for you.
I've already walked the site.
Oh,
Yeah.
So if you see the bushes, right? It's not that the road, if somebody's jogging, it's not that it's completely clear. There's other things on, you know.
That's not his
On the
property.
bottom of that
past
pad, it's probably 5 or 6.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
guesstimating.
Right.
My
Past
truck
the
wouldn't fit
neighbor's
there, but
bushes.
Yeah.
You can park in front of them, there's enough. But again, when you purchased the property, that was all full of shrubs and brush and dead
Yes.
trees. I mean, that,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
safer now than it was.
Mr. Chairman.
any further questions? Sure. All right, I'll take a motion to close this.
Move to close the public portion,
I
Mr. Chairman.
second.
All in favor?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. On to the second. Where's my agenda? We have 27 Lakeview Road, Z-22-72.
So, that's me, Brandon Hyde, 27 Lakeview Road. We are here seeking a variance for some stairs to build on the side of the proposed deck.
Can you stand up?
Oh, sure,
Sorry.
sure. Brandon Hyde, 27 Lakeview Road. We're seeking a variance to build some stairs for a deck. We were in front of the board last year to seek a variance for the deck. Then some things came up, we were unable to build the deck. Now we'd like to build it, and it was pointed out we don't have any stairs. So the only place that's really safe to build them would be on the side of the deck where it's not quite as steep. That's really it. Any questions?
Yes.
Do you happen to have a new, because when I went today, I think that the plan has changed, right? Now the steps on the other side.
There was never any steps on the original plan.
They were never used.
No, there weren't. no.
That was the problem, is that we realized after the fact that we have a deck, but there's no way to actually get down from the deck, except from in through the house, through the front of the
Walk
house,
out
and
the
then
front of
back
the-
around,
yeah.
but still no stairs. This was a very steep, narrow lot as well.
Sorry, can I just get your name and address for the record? Brandon Hyde, 27 Lakeview Road.
Frida Nessie.
Oh, Frida, okay.
Yeah.
You also.
Yes, yes. I'm looking at the map again.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Hi. Thank you very much for letting me go out there. I think it was New Year's Day.
Yeah, it was.
Come on forward, I just want to show you the map that I drew, and then I really only have like one question. Thanks, Mr. Hyde. Okay, so, this is correct, so the septic is right over here, okay, and I think I guesstimated, is that the septic clean out there?
Yeah, it's pretty close.
That's a good guess. Got an LP tank there, AC,
Correct.
and then your well cap, I did a quick measurement. It was about, about 15 feet, kind of coming back from the edge there, more or less.
No well.
There's some.
Oh, it looked
Community
like,
well.
oh, it's a community well,
Yeah,
but that,
so-
it's
so
capped
there's
right there, right?
There's a tank, right about here, that's our septic pump.
If you want to.
Solid.
Yeah.
This one, this is the.
Yeah, so that's back, we purposely left it back, over 5 feet, I think it's probably about.
From there to there, wherever that cap thing that I thought was the well, that was 15 from
Yeah.
the edge.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah, we kept it way back from the corner because we were planning on building it back.
Okay, now, your stairs, as I understand, are gonna come down on, I'm gonna call it it's kind of the north side, if I went north-south.
Yeah, oh yeah, you could-
I don't know why that, because I posted, and I thought I posted.
this one actually shows where we want to put the stairs.
Because the deck comes right up to,
The edge
where
of the
the,
house.
yeah, where the side yard setback is, right?
Correct.
The deck is right there, and then the stairs are kind of coming off.
Yeah, so we want to have a landing up here, landing here, walking back towards this way, because it's steep, so if we don't want somebody going down the stairs, falling and tumbling further down the hill.
Why not have them on the west side? That was really my only question.
The west
On the
side.
west side, the lake side, instead of, I'm facing the back of your house, right? You're gonna have the deck, then you're gonna have on the, I'm gonna call it that's the northern side. The stairs are kind of coming down there. Why not have them in the front?
Towards the lake, like middle of the deck, like going down.
Or, you know,
Is that what you're
slightly,
saying, Ann?
yeah, that's what I'm talking
Rather
about.
than the side. where
So
you-
your deck,
Over the side where you need
I'll
the
just draw.
I'm just not
So
following, sorry.
this is the back of your house.
Yeah.
This is a bad drawing here, and this is your deck, right?
Yeah.
That's not a good drawing because it comes over to the edge.
Yeah.
And then your stairs are kind of here, I guess, is where you have them out. Why not have it, an opening here with just the stairs coming down?
So.
That was
the-
really
the
my
deck,
question.
so if you look at this line here, this is kind of a stone wall,
Okay.
and we were planning on having the deck come pretty close to that stone wall. And that is, so we actually
Oh,
have
so
a
you wouldn't, if you
variance,
had it
so
on
if
that side, you wouldn't have enough because the
Right,
stone walls are,
The
all
deck
right,
comes
that was
within
the,
2 feet of the property line, and then there's a stone wall there, it's about 5 feet high.
okay, so there's no room at all to push it a
We have
little
to make the
bit?
deck, 4 feet smaller, the entire length.
Okay, so you couldn't come off the front of it because of that,
Yeah.
because of the wall you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's
And
the-
there's stairs there now, like, so the idea to get down to kind of flow to the lake, there's already a stairs there, so to kind of put,
Yeah, I saw your other ones in the back
Yeah.
there when you guys were walking
so
down
it's just
there
like,
when I was
in
looking.
terms of like flow and natural, like, going down to the lake, it just doesn't seem like guess that's why
So those existing stairs will kind of be under the deck?
so
I
right
see.
now where the landing, do you have that photo?
No, the deck is probably gonna go over, I don't think it's gonna go over the stairs, right?
No, so right now, you would walk, so the deck would, it's a wraparound, you'd come down, it drops off like right where you kind of, this is a landing here. So you drop off and you would just walk over here and go down.
Okay.
There's no way to get this over here,
Well, so it takes away the space of
the
like
deck.
the deck. And we're already like such a narrow lot, we can't even really enjoy the backyard because this is all a steep slope. So it's not like we can really sit there.
Topography is the biggest issue, and
Yes, it's
safety.
the biggest issue, safety, access, like safety wise. When we realized we didn't have stairs, I'm like, okay, if something happened down here, I have to run through the house, come all the way to here, there's no stairs here, I have to come through the this concrete walkway and come down. So this seemed the most, if I'm here on the deck, I can get access to the lake quickly, safely, from the deck down to the lake.
And it's just not safe to put them out in, can I draw on this? To put
Yeah.
them out in, well,
So-
if this was a little short, you know what I mean, right out in here. Just
Yeah, I mean, we'd be able to feel like a spiral staircase or something, but not a normal staircase.
not normal, you're walking down and you're right in the backyard stairs.
No, at least from when we've had initial conversations, what was it, the footings would be, the footings would
Right where
be an
the
issue
wall
for the
and stuff
stairs.
is over there.
And then if I take a closer look at it. I don't know if you've seen this, these are the stairs in question. Yeah, because that's not the same one that was on here.
And the reason for not making the deck a little shorter?
Just because we can't enjoy that, like, it's already, we don't have an opportunity to really enjoy the lake, and that was a big reason why we purchased the house. And so, really, there's no other way to really enjoy it, so to be able to have a table out there comfortably and sit and enjoy a little bit, that would be the best way to do it. Right now, I mean, we've lived there for 2 years, we can't fit a table on even with that little walkway, we can't
If it was
really
a
sit
couple feet
outside.
closer, it would still be tight for you?
Yeah,
If it was
like, I measured
same
tables and
as a-
chairs, like you'd be bumped, like it just would be very narrow and tight. Could we force it? I
Well, if
guess-
it was what I'm saying is if it was a 3 feet rather than a 5-foot variance, is that enough room to have the stairs
I think the
safely?
stairs realistically are average of 3 feet wide. We asked for the 5 feet just because we weren't sure of the final design and the railing sticks out or if the
Some
footing
material.
sticks out a little further, so we just wanted to kind of be safe.
I actually went to the neighbors, Brisade let us go, our neighbor to the right, we kind of followed their same exact flow, like the actual material that goes over the design of the deck, it makes the stairs like 4.5 feet wide. So that's mainly kind of follow the same flow that they had.
I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Are there any members of the public that would like to speak in favor of this application? Hearing none, are there any members of the public that would like to speak in opposition to this application? Hearing none, are there any closing remarks you'd like to make? Okay, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing of this.
I second it.
Move to close.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, take this back, sorry, I need it for this. Okay, then we'll move on to deliberations of 28 Indian Trail. Yeah, any discussion?
Move to approve Z-22-64 as submitted, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Lisa seconds. Discussion on this one.
Can they go first?
Yes,
Yeah,
Indian
Indian
Trail.
Yeah.
Discussion on Indian Trail.
Even if we approved their variance, it's not the full variance that they need, right?
Missing.
Oh, I also just want to clarify for
I
this,
just
Janet, since you came in the middle
Yeah, I
of
do.
this, can, Larry's going to be voting on this one, just since you missed some of the.
Oh, okay, Larry, thank you.
Just since you missed some of the presentation. No, no offense. Okay, so.
I was just saying that even, just kind of understanding the parameters of what we're looking at here, even if we approved what they wanted us to approve, it's still not the full set of variances that they need to keep it the way they have it. That's why I understand, I just wanna make sure I understand.
That's what it seems, that's what you were saying, that there's a.
I agree with Naveed and Lisa. Yeah, 3.4.A.3.B
Would also
is
need-
definitely a variance that's needed, so it's an incomplete application. That's an issue right there. There's no permit, it's been pulled or anything on it at all, and
It's brand new construction.
yeah,
Right.
it's
With
brand
a
new.
licensed contractor.
With a licensed contractor.
So somebody
you
made
should
a
be-
conscious decision not to do it.
Right. And I do have a concern with the letter that we got from the Public Works with the line of sight issue and safety concerns and liability to the town.
Right, I mean,
I have some real concerns about that.
I mean, in their defense, they said they'd take that, they would take that responsibility. They would be willing to stipulate that, but I think the,
I think he wants the attorney to look at it though.
right,
And
Make sure there's no liability.
right. I mean, I see their point, and I think that they should be permitted to have a staircase of some sort for the use of the property, and the fact that even if the rest of the properties did so via non-compliance, having a staircase somewhere there is in compliant with the surrounding properties, like you said about us being fair to him in comparison to to his neighbors.
The construction method could be anything to put the stairs wherever you want them.
Right.
So there are no restrictions in that regard. You could put them in the middle, you could put them anywhere.
Right, I do think that the existing staircase is excessive to what's required to access the property, given that the other issues with it.
What's the, you're saying more than one variance, so the one variance has to do, having to do with the proximity to the road and being over the line on the town property. What's the second variance?
Well, they're asking for two right now, if you want me to explain. So they want a 29.2 foot variance structure to the front lot line.
Right.
A structure to the left sideline is a 12 point, man, that thing's so small I can't read it. Is that 9? I'm sorry if I got it wrong.
12.9.
Yeah, 12.9. And the one that's missing on the application is 3.4.A.3.B, which is basically structure in the front yard. Anytime we've had a bunch of them coming from those pools and sheds and stuff like that,
Right.
that's usually always on the variance there.
Right.
Yes, they would
So
also need.
that's an issue.
Yeah, so they would also need, in addition to these variances,
Yeah.
a structure in front yard
Yeah.
variance.
And I'd like a legal opinion from the attorney, the town attorney, to what kind of liability, God forbid,
Right.
somebody gets hit on the road there or a car smashes into that and the person dies, do they sue the town?
That's not a ZBA issue. We're granting.
I'm just
I was
going
gonna
off,
say
I'm just
that.
going off
That's
that
not-
letter.
Yeah,
Right.
I wouldn't,
We have
yeah.
no purview over the
Yeah.
traffic.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the traffic and, you know, for what you shared too, it was heartbreaking, but I don't think we as a board have any,
No,
yes.
this is
We
closed
cannot,
session.
yeah, we
This
cannot
is
control.
not something that we can,
We can't control the traffic.
we can't, no.
patterns there.
I wish there was, yeah, but.
So there's something that should be done about it, but it's not that we have authority to.
Yeah, and we know for a fact it's 9 feet into the right of way.
So-
It is what it is.
Right, as you said, other things are also.
But in the,
right of way.
but the letter does say that as long as, you know, I think the Public Works Department and if we send, let's say we approve the variance and we send, then it's between him and the Public Works, right?
Well, as
We-
I
it's
read
kind of-
that letter,
From what I've seen, they would work something out.
he's asking for something before an approval, as I read Mr. Tedesco's letter.
Well, that could be, I guess, a stipulation for the approval, or I don't even.
If this project is approved, I recommend, the proposed steps are in the town of Red Town should be concerned about potential accident, liability, or vehicular limit. And then he gave an example of basically a limit of liability, I guess, clause.
Yes.
Before the steps are installed, plans should be developed to show sight lines that will not be limited.
So, I visited the property today, and my first, obviously, I wish it was, you know, the approval was done before the steps were built, because there's so much we can do before and not after, because
Me too.
I wish that was the case, but it's beautiful, the steps are beautiful. I thought that they were done, but, the variance with your neighbor and the variance, there are two things here. And I see that both sides are, you know, we have a lot of people that are not happy about it. Steps are needed, I agree with you. If you have a property that has a lake facing, you should be able to access it.
As
Should
all
be.
of your neighbors are.
Absolutely, yes, so
You should
steps
be.
are needed, we need to have some sort of access.
Right.
Um,
I don't think anyone's disputing that he should be able to have steps, but the
Right.
steps that are unfortunately already built seem excessive to the need, given their proximity to the northern property as well as the other issues that have been brought up. Now,
And we do have a high volume of objections.
right, and I mean, I do take some sympathy though to what he said about the objections being that a lot of people, and it's in, I'd have to find the letter, at least one letter seemed to complain about the house as a whole. That's not, that kind of shows some general, let's say, animosity to,
Right.
it's not a complaint about the structure, it's a complaint about we don't want a house there.
He owns a
That's
piece of
not-
property, he can build
really-
a house that he wants on.
Right,
Right.
so
As long as
I'm
it's-
saying his neighbors have a predisposition to not
Yes.
let him have what he wants, so I don't think they're necessarily unbiased.
And I think that this board would stand up to allow that to happen on an approved building lot with an approved set of plans. That's
Right.
what we absolutely stand for,
Right.
so.
Okay. Okay with voting on it?
Yes.
All in favor of approving this application as submitted? All opposed?
Post.
Aye. The application fails 0-5. And on to,
Make a motion to approve this.
yes, 27 Lakeview Road.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve Z-22-72, Frida Nassif, if I said that right?
Yep.
And Brendan Hyde, 27 Lakeview Road, as submitted.
Second?
Second.
Okay, discussion on this one.
They pretty much answered my questions. I thought that there would be a way, but she explained it very well, you know, to basically move it to the right if you're staring at the back of the house. It did make sense to me that if they moved it that way, besides losing a little bit of the deck, but it kind of goes down into where the other part goes. And it's
The
just,
footing,
yeah, the footing.
We're in closed session.
I don't wanna talk.
sorry.
But it goes into where the footing and then where they head down to the other ones.
Mhm.
So it's difficult to move that. I was thinking about, you know, cutting it down a little bit, maybe to 3 feet or so, but does it really make a difference, you know, chop 2 feet off the deck? I'm not sure.
Well,
Mr.
I
Chairman.
mean, I think it does make a difference, right? Because if you chop a couple feet off the deck, it suddenly becomes in compliance, and.
Well, you'd have to take 5, but I was
Well,
thinking,
Can you take 5 though? Like, it might, you can argue that it limits the
The width of the
available
deck on that
space.
side of the building is 25 feet.
It limits the available space to
Say
be
that
short,
again.
but it's still a usable
Is the width
deck.
of the deck on that side of the building 25 feet?
I think it's 25. I know it comes all the way to the northern edge of the house. It goes right to the end. So whatever width that
I thought I
is.
saw 25 feet.
I can't see that little number. Can you see that?
No.
Yeah, I can't see that little number. I'm sorry, Larry.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
10 feet.
Can you see that little number? Can't even see with my
The
cheaters.
structured front
Line?
lot line?
The thing is though,
Is it, can you see that?
we've already granted the variance on the other side, which is just as close.
And,
What's that right there?
I think the neighbors are okay too, they have, we have 2 letters from both the sides saying they're comfortable with the proposed deal.
I think you're right, 25. I just can't read these numbers.
Just pointing out the width of the deck, that means the deck then, if you shave 5 feet off of it,
You're
it's
at
still
20.
20 feet wide.
Right.
I think the deck is still usable without the variance, it's not, this is more of a comfort variance than a necessity. I don't know if there's an actual hardship besides wanting more deck space.
Lisa, you said that we approved the variance on the other side.
No, it's just, that it looks like what we've already approved, I have to go back and confirm, but, there's only 5 feet between
the
the,
opposite side.
on the opposite side, between the deck and the wall, or the line.
South side.
I'm saying 5 feet between the deck on that side and the property line.
Correct, yeah.
So the properties are so narrow,
Yeah.
there's not much room, and the beauty of this whole property is the lake. It's the, you know, you buy a house like this to enjoy the lake, so.
We're up against
To me-
this at the Kennewood
to me,
Shores all the time.
neighbors, yeah, neighbors are both sides of neighbors have said they're comfortable, they've sent letters to us saying they have no problem.
I could go either way on it, Mr. Chairman. Or lowering it a little bit.
The hardship is topography, right?
Definitely topography.
And they said safety.
And
too.
safety. Topography and
There's a
safety.
sliding door that opens to
Nowhere?
nowhere. So the house was designed to have a deck.
Yeah, it just
but,
never got put on. That's the way it looked to me.
Yeah, it never got put on, right?
That's the way it
And,
looked to me.
Yes.
And when you come out of the sliders, that slider, if I had to guess, it's, you got 4, it's probably an 8-foot slider. You only have, maybe it's like 5 or 6 feet to the left of where that slider is, and that's the edge of the house.
Okay.
And if that deck goes to right there, that's without any stairs on it, you're exactly at 10 foot, because I could see the,
Right, yeah.
yeah, I could see the property line stake they had over there. It was like exact.
Actually, I think it's 2 feet. We agreed to. Right here.
Oh, on the last one.
Yeah,
So the
right.
one on
It
the,
says 2 feet, yeah.
I apologize, I didn't walk the property. What about other houses adjacent and in the same vicinity? Are the decks of that size and out the front, or?
I think we looked at that last
Mhm.
time that they came in front of us for the current variance for the deck.
it was getting dark when I went over there, 4:50 or something. I didn't get a chance to look too well at the other houses.
To me, it seemed like it was perfectly fine. The whole, you know.
Meeting consistent?
Yeah, yes, it's consistent with the way, yeah. The roads are narrow, the properties are narrow too, so it's, that's the way
The
it's
house is
set
on a
up.
cul-de-sac too.
That's the way it's set, the neighborhood is set up.
Yeah, and that house is on a cul-de-sac.
Mhm. Okay.
I'm
And,
okay.
and I think to me, both sides have sent a letter too, so I think
Mhm.
we have both the neighbors
Even the neighbors
comfortable.
come and go, that's the argument.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
It runs with the
That's
neighbors.
true.
Goes with the
Yeah,
house.
you're right,
But it's,
yes.
not- it
Yeah.
is relevant and helpful.
I'm good either way, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Can I make a stipulation, make it a little shorter, or I'm good? I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we all good to vote? All in favor of approving this application as submitted?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Congratulations.
Okay. Now election of officers for the 2023 calendar year. Exciting. Okay, we have, well, this is the end, right?
Wait,
What else do we have?
oh, no, well, I know I have a
Did we have
real
some-
short discussion at the very end, you know.
Regards to what?
It was follow-up, informal discussion, it's follow-up from the 5.1 Echo, the TCD side yard setback.
Oh, yeah,
I just
so it's in
basically
the-
wrote, yeah, I actually went to that meeting, want me to go over that now?
Well, it's in the, that was in the minutes, that's part of the packet, right?
Yeah, they put that in the minutes, but I wrote a follow-up letter because he didn't address the crux of our issue in the context that we asked it. We asked it in the context of.
Can you tell
the
us what
case.
property?
I'm sorry, did we miss nominations or?
They- they-
Oh, no, I don't know what's going
We
on.
said-
started
we
yet.
didn't
Didn't
start
even start that.
nominations, sorry.
Okay, well, then we're going off the agenda then.
Okay, let's
Well,
go
okay,
to
so-
nominations, then we can discuss after the nominations, we can have discussion. Okay. We have nominations for chairman. I'll nominate Alan Donnelly.
See, I was gonna nominate you.
Okay.
Second that.
Who?
Can I also nominate Carl?
You can do, so we, you second Alan?
I second
Okay, so,
I'll nominate Carl for chairman.
any second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any other nominations? Okay. Closing nominations.
What do you do? We
Discuss-
share it? You
Well,
wanna share
no,
it?
you can't share it, so any discussion on this? Alan, I think that you do quite a lot and are very vocal and,
But I think you do a phenomenal job too, Mr. Chairman.
wow, okay.
Oh, I do. I'm always gonna be me no matter what I do. I'm good either way, Mr. Chairman.
Will you accept the nomination?
Sure.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, so, I guess.
All
I
right.
nominate,
Hold a
And
vote?
I'm like,
yeah, I know. Oh,
Well, we have to hold a vote for
second.
chairman first.
Oh, I thought we.
Well,
oh,
we
right,
we
you're right.
nominated, but we have to have a vote for
Right.
chairman. Okay, so all in favor of Alan Donnelly as chairman? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay.
aye.
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 I nominate Carl Hanger for vice chairman.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, any other nominations?
Oh, I'll nominate Lisa for vice chairman, if you wanna change things.
I'm good.
No?
No, I do not accept.
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Who seconded for Carl?
Are you nominating?
Did-
Are you nominating?
Did you second for Carl?
Who say, you?
I
no,
second
she-
you.
Jana seconded Carl.
Okay, so.
By acclamation,
By
you were
acclamation?
vice chairman.
Okay, and then finally,
I'd like to nominate Janet for secretary.
do you want to accept the nomination? Seemed-
Seconded?
Yeah?
Okay.
By acclamation?
Any other, well,
Any
any
other,
other
yeah.
nominations?
Sorry, I'm.
Nope, you're fine.
Okay, by acclamation, Janet is our secretary.
Congratulations.
Alan, take it away.
All right.
Anything else?
Mr. Chairman, one last thing.
Well,
Well,
you're the chairman. You're now the chairman.
Mr. Vice Chairman, we did have on there go over, and I don't think there's very much to go over on the bylaws. I think we pretty much went through everything. So, yeah, I think we did. There's only one thing I wanted to bring up, if it's
Did you
okay.
have a copy of the
I
bylaw?
wanna say, oh no, what is it?
No,
Did you
it's
get
not
a
that at
copy
all.
of the bylaw?
So, look, I look excellent there. All right, the continue, under the continue ed, and I know I have I printed it right off of the website, so this is the latest one. I think I'd rather add Lisa's continuing education on there rather than mine. Remember your wording
Yeah,
from
I
the
did.
last one?
I did.
She said that.
Well, I have this one, all training provided by
No,
language
no,
studies.
I think I took right out of what Lisa said.
What do you have on E for yours, Carl?
E,
That's my old one.
I got it.
Yeah.
continuing all training provided by land use. Is this the Is this the updated one?
Yeah, this is, I printed it right off the website, that one. I just made a note, this is on the old one from last time, but I have Lisa's right here. All right, this is the one that we were gonna send over to the town attorney. This is it, 16, draft 16 final. Anyways, I'm gonna read Lisa's in the record. I just like it better. Except as expressly agreed to in writing by the chairman and included in the written meeting agenda. The public hearing shall exclude any internal, external discourse conducted for the purpose of educating, instructing, or coaching one or more board members or alternates. I'd like to put that in place of the other one, if that's okay. Is that okay too?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody like that?
I
So,
thought I put in Lisa's.
yeah, what's weird is, like, I went right on the website, right, and I printed out, you have the same one, it's not in there, it's like the old one. You see it right there,
What
Jan?
number, what Roman numeral?
It's E,
So,
so we're 4E.
yeah, Roman numeral 4, land use administration office.
E.
Letter
Right, doesn't it shows the old one on there.
I thought I had that, put that in.
I did not bring it with me.
All right.
Yeah.
I printed it right off the
I
website.
thought I put it in, right here. Except as expressly agreed to in writing by the chairman.
Maybe
Is
they
that what
didn't-
you're looking?
And maybe they didn't update it on the website?
They might have not
What
have, I
website?
don't
You
think,
need to tell me that.
Well, you know,
Town hall
yeah, where they put our
website?
packets.
Oh,
where they put our
no.
yeah, I
packets.
don't think the
No.
packet has.
No, Lisa, I took your language
Okay.
verbatim and
Wonderful.
put it in here.
Thank you.
And I think that's what I sent everyone,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
I don't know about what was put on the website. They should be putting nothing on the website.
It was
because
probably
wasn't
just a link.
approved.
It was a link in
So
the
this,
paper,
so
right?
this,
Yeah.
what's here is different from what?
Yes,
Would-
Mr.
From what we
Briggs, yes.
discussed last time. yeah.
I believe that I sent every member a copy of what was going out, along with the letter that I was sending
You did, yes.
to the town attorney. I also sent a copy of the original bylaws that were in the 1970s. So I didn't get any feedback. I asked if anyone had any questions, and no one did. I think, except for Alan, just wanted me to make a change, and I did it. I didn't send anybody, but it was just it was just changing the way this was. It was
Of the order?
The order, right. He wanted to put
I felt that the
two and
applicant should be able to go
three
first and
two.
then read
But
it, just like we
everything-
did it tonight.
Everything has remained the same. It's really perfect to go.
Thank you for doing that.
You're very
Last one, can I
welcome.
ask you
Thank
one
you
more?
for doing
You're
that.
very welcome.
One more, Janet, you ready? All right, so under land use administrative staff, remember we talked about it last time, and you said, oh, I don't think it's a problem putting it in there, but it got deleted accidentally from the old one, about asking the land use staff, including the delivery of ZBA's monthly applications, the relevant minutes to the appropriate cases stated on this agenda. That was one we can ask.
Okay.
Remember, we all said, okay, it's all right to ask. Is that
But
okay,
I
having that
think
back
we
on?
deleted that.
Yeah, you deleted it, but I was gonna see if anybody had a problem with putting that one back in there. So under land use administrative staff, it's just asking a question. It's not necessarily, people make mistakes that may not be in there.
Mr. Chairman, can you repeat what you want put in?
So
again?
it was on an older copy, but it was land use staff should include in the delivery of the ZBA's monthly applications, comma, the relevant minutes to the appropriate cases stated on its agenda.
And it's not
It's
being
an
done
ask.
now? I mean,
Sometimes
look
it's
at
done.
this.
Yeah,
I think the reason.
it doesn't have to be in
The
there.
reason we cut it is because it doesn't pertain
We
to
assume it's done.
our authority as a board, right? That-
Well, that's what we meant by ask.
I think that was the thing, it wasn't in our purview, yeah.
It's up to you
Okay,
guys. If you guys something that needs to be in there, it doesn't have to be in there.
I think we're good
Okay, I'm
I
good.
think we're good with what.
with what we have.
Do we want to take a vote on sending this to the town attorney and then look at it after the town attorney takes a look at it? Is everybody comfortable with that?
Wait a second. I
Fine.
thought she already sent it to
Yeah.
the town attorney.
I don't think so.
No, it was said that we would go over it at this meeting.
Yeah, and if anybody had
Because
any questions
It's
on
already 2 months we
it.
haven't been together.
Yes.
But we
Yeah.
will finalize it, and then this would be it.
But now it's about
Send
to-
it
Can we
on.
just vote to send it?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
I
do that.
second it.
All right, I'll move, wanna make a motion?
Yeah, well.
Lisa made the motion.
I just send it.
Send it to the town attorney?
Yes.
I'll second that motion. Or
Heat
Lee
second.
second.
Heat second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye. All right. And one last one. So this is a follow-up. This is it.
One more.
I swear, this is it.
This is the zoning, the.
Yes,
You
this is
mean
the,
the chair?
this is the 5.1 echo.
Didn't need to vote yet.
Can we
You
go
didn't need
back?
to vote yes.
Yeah, someone down that
Everyone
one.
had a choice.
So what I'm doing is I want to send a follow-up letter because I was at the zoning, the December 8th meeting. And the question we sent over got answered, but they just basically did it in a commercial answer. It didn't address the issue that we sent to them, which was, hey, we had a residential person come in front of us, look for a variance, we gave a variance, but it never needed to come in front of us in the first place. So I wanted a little bit more detailed response from them, from the whole zoning commission on it. So I wrote this letter, and I can read it into the record if you want, or everybody's got it. But I wanted to see if it was okay if I sent this over to zoning. It's like it's an Allen second draft, so if I messed up, you guys tell me.
Well, I'll read this for you, Alan, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
And,
Could you please read it into the record?
but I will shorten it somewhat. I
Okay.
think it's a little bit, well,
Do you want to read it
if
into the
you.
record now?
No, you could read it,
Okay.
but,
So January 9th, today's date, to the Brookfield Zoning Commission, attention Chairman Getz, Vice Chairman Bashenda Cromar, Secretary Andy Combs, regular member Darrell Pratt, and regular member Phoebe Holmes. We thank you for the response provided by your alternate member, however, it does not answer the crux of our question in the context of which we asked. This is in 5.1 Echo, the TCD/TCDP. What is the exact meaning and original intent of none, meaning 0 inches side yard setback, and how does it protect the life, safety, general welfare, and property values of the residents of single-family homes in the TCD/TCDP map overlay zone in the town of Brookfield? If it's accurate or not, or maybe it's a typo. Please see the September 6th, I just referenced both meetings that we discussed it, which we gave a variance, stays with the land in perpetuity. Found out the next day, apparently due to this confusing regulation, that the applicant never needed to come before us in the first place. Also, please see the November 7th, 2022 ZBA meeting. We highly suggest an in-depth review and possible amendments to the entire TCD/TCDP, all sections, in particular 5.1 Echo of our zoning regulations, so we can hopefully avoid this confusion in the future and protect the citizens of Brookfield, which we all swore an oath to do. We appreciate your prompt response in writing from all the regular members of the commission. Vice Chairman.
okay, does this go back to the
It could probably
original?
be thinned out a little bit, but.
Does this go back to the original that's in the?
This goes to
higher
the September
regulation
meeting.
book?
This-
Yes.
Yeah, this goes
Right,
back to the September
That one little
meeting.
typo that they did? in
It's not
the-
a typo.
No.
It's
This
not
goes
a
back to the
typo.
September
It's,
meeting where we granted a variance that we didn't need to grant. So I believe it was 81 Laurel Hill, I think was the address on it. That was
That
out.
was the one that you weren't.
I had heard back.
Right.
Yeah, I had heard back.
They did answer the question, though. The reason for it was to allow, well, because it's for the town center district, so the reason was to allow properties to touch.
Well, I can
So
read his
it's-
response
but
on it, yeah.
It's not, it seems like it was made without the intention or understanding that it would also apply to single-family homes in the district.
Well, when they wrote that, that covers the TCD, which is
Right.
basically the main part of Federal Road there, and the TCDP, which is the Laurel Hill side, it's the back sides over there. So that same 5.1 Echo, am I correct, Fran? That covers them both. So that none, that 0, that's why they came in front of us. That's why the homeowners there, he had an R40 zone
No, you're
and
fine.
didn't know that he was.
I'm working
Okay.
around
All
it.
right.
He came in front of us for a variance. I doubt anybody back there knows they're in a TCDP. So I just wanted to ask them to clarify that and look into it so that we don't have it coming in front of us anymore.
I don't think-
People asking for variance. You
Well,
don't, you never
I don't
know.
think it will come in front of us because they don't need the variance. If the zoning wants to change the regulations, that's kind of their prerogative.
Absolutely.
No,
If we
I'm
can be-
also not very comfortable with
incentivizing.
telling them what to do.
Right, it's
Is
kind of
that's
their-
my, just, you
It's
know,
on
their
first,
business. If
yeah.
they-
My first instinct is why would we tell them? How do-
No, ask them to look at it, I'm not telling them to do anything, but look at it, and if there is a problem with it, that something can happen if you, what if somebody else came in on any one of those residential?
That's why you had
communities?
administrative staff downstairs to review everything, so it doesn't get this far.
I know,
Right.
but it got missed in September.
Well,
You got
there
it,
was one case, right?
I just I wanted to bring it to their attention, because I don't know, other than the alternate member that answered it, because I was sitting there at the meeting. Everybody else seemed surprised, because I don't know if they read the minutes from our meeting, and they were even aware of it.
Kick it back to them.
Huh?
Just kick it back to them.
Well, that's what I meant by kick it back to them in this.
That, I
Just show-
wouldn't send them anything, just send it back down to them. This is not, that doesn't address us, it has nothing to do with
Exactly, I
us.
wouldn't do the letter,
That's your
but
deal.
if somebody comes for a variance, we send them back,
Yeah.
saying that.
And let
you know,
them-
Yeah.
Now
But
they
we-
really,
I would, yeah, I would
now
stay
they're
with
really
us.
forced to do something about the issue, because we've just kicked it back to them, saying
So
it's
kick it,
not
make
our
a
deal.
motion now and kick it back to them again?
Yeah,
Is that what you're
send
saying?
it back to them.
Yeah, but how can you do that? Because half of the 3/4 of that zoning commission wasn't there when the regs were rewritten.
Right.
So none of them
Right.
know, except one, the
Right.
alternate.
Right.
Right. you
But
can't-
at least they, at
But
least
it puts it in their,
in their hand, and they could say, maybe
Puts
we
the
should
ball
look at
in
it.
their
We should-
court.
That's
we
what
need
I'm
to
saying.
look at this now
Yeah,
and make
when I
a
was there at the
structural
meeting,
change in the document
Basically, most
so
of
that
the
it
members,
reflects
other than the one
that.
guy at the end, Mr. Timmerman,
Right. Well,
didn't
I
really
think
know
we
what
did
was
our
going
part
on.
by, you've already mentioned it to them, they're aware of it. This is kind of a little bit more than,
Well,
I
the
think we've
Kinda
done.
like pushing it in their
Exactly,
face.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
the
like,
issue is
That's
if they, if
you've already
somebody,
told them.
somebody comes with an application for a variance, you're saying, we don't know in a given instance whether or not they need a variance, whether the regulation applies to all single-family residences in this area or does it not. But I guess, Larry, you're saying we just have to say, we can't render a decision about this, so it would go back to them.
Yeah, I'm just not, all right, I'm not comfortable, I'd like to ask them the question itself in the context that we asked them to, just for clarification, because I was at that meeting, and the response sounded like gobbledygook to me. It was comparing us to downtown Ridgefield, Bethel, New Milford, but it didn't address the single-family homes that were back there.
Well, so you're saying.
So
that-
I don't think it came to their attention, that's what I meant.
That
I
it
sat-
applies the same.
Yeah, I literally sat down on a piece of paper after I left the meeting and I started writing this, I'm like, okay. And that's why I wrote that out there. But I'll make a simple motion to clarify it in the context of the residential sections of the TCD and TCDP. If you want me to just do that, and just ask them a simple question to follow up.
Well, you're asking for guidance as to how to render a decision in an
Right,
instance like that.
if
that
it's
comes up.
intended to apply to the residential section of the TCDP,
Right.
Okay.
not just the.
Yeah, I heard his response. His response said something about coming back if somebody needed 0 feet, that they need to come back for a special exemption or anything.
Right.
And none of that was brought up anywhere in any of our stuff. And I'm like, okay, then why didn't this person just go to him for a special exemption and say, hey, I wanna make it 5 feet or whatever you guys ended up giving him? He was looking for, I think, 10 or 15, you gave him
Yeah.
5. 81 Laurel Hill I'm talking about.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion right now. I move to send just a follow-up question over to the zoning commission, thanking them for the response and asking them for a little bit more detail in the context and the crux of the question that we asked them, which was the residential portions of the TCD and TCDP. That's the question I'd like to send over to them.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor? I'm gonna use
I
the
would like
same-
to add something to that, which is I think you should also add the alternates. I don't know why they're always cut out.
No, and the alternates all get it.
I
Yeah,
just think
anything we
that-
send over,
I sent
the
you,
alternates all get it.
you were cut out with me.
Oh,
you
you see
mean-
them
you mean on
here?
this one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Our people.
No, I understand that, I understand that. I just wrote
Yeah.
that, we already got it from the alternate anyway, so I figured he knew what was going on. He's the one that's mostly. got
Wasn't he the one that brought this up?
I'm
or
talking
gave
about the
reasons?
ZBA alternates here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The fact that they're not.
Oh,
not
yeah, oh,
listed.
God, I'm sorry.
What?
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. Yeah, but you don't want to do it in the letter, you want me to do it in.
I don't know.
No,
I
but
just
but
want,
what
I
she was
just,
saying was you should have given it out to everyone.
Oh, I
everyone should
apologize.
be
Yeah,
included.
so we're all
Yeah, I
part of
apologize.
this.
Voice here.
Yeah,
but I just-
apologize. That's fine.
You could.
That's my mess up. but everybody is included. So do we wanna vote on that? I know you seconded it. Just a follow-up question, no letter.
Follow-up
Just a
question.
Want me to restate it?
I'm actually I'm not comfortable
Okay,
pursuing this further. That's my opinion.
okay, that's all right.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Don't wanna pursue it further? Well, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, it's
How you feel? I just wanna ask them in following up on the residential portion, that's all. Just so all the members are aware of it. I don't think they all are.
So what would happen, Mr. Chairman? What would, I mean,
I think
what will happen if in fact it is not clarified to anyone that wants to build or come before us for variance? What would happen?
I don't know, anything could happen.
If I may, it sounds like the problem is that there's confusion. It came before us because they thought they needed a variance.
The
We thought they
homeowner.
needed a variance, the
Okay.
homeowner, and they didn't. And then when this question first went to zoning seems to think that you need a special permit to do it. And the homeowner apparently didn't need a special permit to do it either. So
I don't
So
think
no
that,
one knew
honestly, I don't think the
right
zoning
now what the
commission
left
even
was
knew that
doing.
they needed a special permit, because not everybody sits and meets the reg.
So it just
Just,
seems like there's some.
Commissioner Timmerman knew that, because he was back there when they
That's
wrote
going
it,
to,
but nobody else did.
To Fran's point, if there's only
I think
one
it's
person who's
confusing.
been there long enough and everybody else is new, that's going to be true for every committee in the town, you
Mhm.
know? There are going to be people who are new, like I'm new to the board, I don't know everything, but I'm learning, you know?
That's-
And you can't expect me to know everything,
But
so
I think
the
that's-
same thing applies here.
But I think that's why we want to mention this to them, not to tell them what to do, but to bring
No,
it
no,
to
no.
their attention.
Yeah,
And
so-
say,
That
hey,
is
That's
fine.
really the
realize
only,
there's
we
an
can't,
issue.
we cannot physically do anything about it, only zoning can handle it and
Yeah.
look at it.
Right, Commissioner Timmerman, I was in those meetings.
Mm.
That's why I'm saying, if it goes back to them that there's some confusion, and
They might
it's
look
sent,
at it.
they're going to have to look at it at that point. Right now, the
That's what I
letter
think.
is just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's fodder.
Right.
Let it go back to them and it'll work through the
In
channels
a
at that
motion,
point.
you mean? In a motion,
If
or
we have a
nothing?
case,
No,
if
in
we
the
have a
audience.
We have a
In the
case
next
coming
case.
before us,
So if it comes up again,
and we
Well,
kick
send
it back to
on
them.
Send it back.
Say, okay, it's your
I'm
problem.
always for clarifying things. I
Mm.
think the clearer things are, the better the communication.
The zoning
better.
commission is the one to do the clarification.
Well, but I think we.
yeah, but we're allowed to ask for
I mean,
recommendations on
True.
clarifications.
Our
Absolutely.
ability to function efficiently will be improved if we get clarification to this question,
I love that.
if another case comes up. So I don't see any reason not to ask the question. you
Ask
know?
for a
I mean,
clarification
They
now.
can deal with it
That's
however
all I
they
really
want.
wanted, because,
I mean, to me, that's the
Yeah.
logical thing to do.
Okay.
So
you want me to re-clarify that statement and just ask them a question? Ask them for a
Well,
clarification?
You did make the motion already.
Okay, I'll make them,
Okay.
then I'll leave that motion the way it
Yeah,
sits.
no, if we should all vote, everybody, and if you,
That's
yeah,
what we need.
I'm.
All those in favor of sending that over
Aye.
to zoning? Aye.
Yes.
Thank
I
you,
would vote that way if I were to vote.
thank you. And I'm sorry, I should have wrote this out better. I'm not good drafting letters.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Unanimous.